Esta conferencia comenzará a grabarse.
When you can, okay, so we could share it in the ECCP Forum.
Okay, I'll do that.
Thank you very much. We are just waiting 2 minutes and we will start.
Okay.
Okay, so welcome everybody. Today we are going to speak about the newly defined European industrial ecosystems, and we are going to start analyzing today the digital one. Okay, so for those of you that doesn't know the concept, we are using this information that we got from one photograph in Twitter. It's not official, okay, and in that photograph, the comments on the digital circle was that it was related to telecommunication, software and programming, web portals, manufacturing of computers and equipment. But as you very well know, digital is everywhere. It's completely cross-sectoral and horizontal, and it's a tool. It's a tool for some means. Okay, so we are going to approach it not only from the point of view of the sector itself, that will be represented by Vasco Lagarto from the cluster TISE in Portugal, okay, it's a gold label cluster, but also from the point of view of the applications. So we have with us today Isabel Tovena Pecold from Alpha. That is photonics, as far as I know, clusters, but with a very strong component of the digitalization. And so the approach for today is to see the digital ecosystem from both perspectives, from the perspective of the providers of solutions, but also from the users of solutions, okay? And we have changed a little the title of the second block of our sessions because from now on we will work clearly and we will focus on identifying disruptions on the value chains. In this case, we will look for disruptions in the digital value chain, okay? More than value chains, sorry, what is the name of the other? Sorry, I have a blank now in my mind. Don't worry, we will
supply
chain. Thank you very much, Vasco. Supply chain. Yes, you are right. Thank you. So, without more delay, Vasco, the floor is yours. I will give you the presentation rights. Welcome. You have 10 minutes.
Thank you very much. Let's see if I can put my presentation on the screen. Are you seeing it or not?
Perfect. Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So, but I'm not seeing it. Let's.
We can see it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay, thank you very much, and good morning again for everybody. And I hope that everybody is also well in terms of health. And again, thank you very much, Antonio, for the opportunity and also for your leadership and the enthusiasms that are keeping us all together every morning here around this table, let's say digital table. Also, thanks for talking about the TIS.pt. First of all, I'd like to tell you that TIS means technology, information, communication, and electronics. So since from the beginning, we decided to use or to add the electronics or the hardware because I feel that, and I know that nothing works without some hardware behind. So in Portugal, we have at least the ambition to leverage ICT in terms of recognition, and like any other cluster, we want to monitor and analyze, we want to promote, we want to promote cooperation and also represent Portuguese applications in participation in relevant international events, also to support and promote national and international policies on the definition of impact of the ICT sector, and also to develop tools and methodologies that can increase or foster quality of ICT projects and align them with European, national, and regional policy priorities. I'm going just to go through very fast through these slides because, in fact, we have some strategical priorities dealing with internationalization, with knowledge creation, innovation, human resource skills, entrepreneurship, and also to reinforce the position of TIS.pt. A few years ago, we decided to invite all our associates to a meeting and to discuss a little bit about the future, and also to align some ideas about working areas. And we arrived to this kind of metrics, starting with the first essential ingredients, that is electronics, telecommunication, and information systems, and also identifying a few vertical areas, not forgetting some more horizontal ones like education and training. Training here means reskilling, and also the internationalization and a little bit of dreams about the future, mention the future internet. But coming back to the vertical areas, in fact, some of them are very related with the 14 ones that you show at the beginning. And around these areas, we try to identify opportunities in order to push our associates, together with some other entities, to build big projects. At this moment, for instance, we have one dealing with industry, the Industry 4.0. And in fact, at this moment, the idea is to use the technology to improve the worker quality of life in the factory. So censoring, for instance, to see or to know if he's standing too long or if its body position is correct or not, and also using augmented reality in order to ease its work, besides the normal stuff, let's say, around Industry 4.0, like data analysis, industrial IoT, security, and so on. Also, we push for a project around health and quality of life. In this case, the idea is to use ICT to help people or entities to help people in a better and easier way, improving quality of life. We are not talking here about medical applications, but in fact using technology to improve quality of life. And also in this project, we also are involving the habitat cluster, because we are trying to implement a kind of an evolving space in terms of functionalities according to our needs along our life. Almost like the concept of learning along life, in this case, is adapting the environment, the house, as we need, as we are becoming older, and so can have the support of some systems to help our daily living. Also, another important project is in fact smart cities, where the focus is again the citizen, is in the involvement of him in the life of the city, and where interaction among all the services, legacy ones and advanced ones, can be integrated. Be green, using technology to manage mobility and integrating different transport systems, not forgetting security of digital and human. We have also a big project in media. And here media means also tourism and culture. In this case, we have a project called Chic that relates technology with culture, creating applications that can be used inside and outside to increase the perception of the public and offering new sensations using just the mobile terminals. Also, we can apply this to education and also giving life to books. We have also projects, for instance, related with more telecommunication stuff like 5G, but I'm going to pass because we have only 10 minutes. In terms of international actions, we are involved in international projects like the DIA. It finished, I think, just at the end of the last year, but nevertheless, there is some involvement still of the partners. We have been working in the European Innovation Partnership about smart cities and communities, and in this case, working on what we call the humble lamppost and also the urban platforms. At this moment, we are present in a smart city tech group. Is initiative of different clusters that are more focused in providing solutions to smart cities. And also we are participating in the Open and Agile Smart Cities organization. In fact, we are the contact point for Portugal related with this area. Also, we are involved in terms of education, using new technologies like cloud computing and so on, in order to improve education for generation of new startups. In terms of the last or the beginning of this year, trying to put in the field some things related to COVID. In fact, at the beginning, we collect a few suggestions from our associates in order to call the attention to the government to some of the problems. So, for instance, we suggest to simplify and speed up the payment of incentives to projects financed by structural funds. Also, the fast payment by the part of state and public entities to companies, because as you know, the state obliges us to pay taxes in time, but the opposite is not always true. So we suggest to have a kind of a, how do you say it? Well, to pay first, to receive afterwards. And also to support companies to adapt to telework, because quite a lot of them could go to telework but need help. Also creating some simple financing schemes to support SMEs, and also to delay the payment of taxes and social contributions that in fact is more or less happening. Also, we share through our network a set of best practices to answer to COVID-19. Also try to share innovation and financing opportunities, be regional, national, or international, and also try to get people or key actors around this fight. So we invite quite well a few of them to participate in these meetings, focus in some technical areas like the ventilators, like masks, and so on. And we are sharing quite a lot of the learnings that we learn, sorry for the using the same word, from these meetings that we have every morning. We are also implementing some specific discussions, focus on education and health, because at least these two areas were the most affected at this moment, and we are trying to know what we can do in the near future in order to ease all these problems. I can say that we are also cooperating with some regional entities in order to contribute to develop or to advance in some areas like the social cohesion, employment, increase of regional cohesion, know the region and its regions, and so on. And we are interacting with the Portuguese policymakers and regional entities, for instance, in terms of smart specialization areas, and also in the digital innovation of ideas. We have quite a lot of partnerships also in Portugal and outside. For instance, we have one related with agriculture, one related with the blue economy, one related with tourism and cohesion, also entrepreneurship, and also with training. And also in terms of international, you can see some of the people that probably appear in our meetings, clusters that are related with ICT, but not only. And also we are involved in this European technical platforms that are related with software and with media. And I think that's all for the moment. If you have any questions, I'm ready to try at least to answer them. And thank you very much again.
Thank you. Obrigado, Vasco. Thank you. We will have time to discuss and comment later, but now is the turn to hear Isabel Tovena. Isabel, would you like to present, or should I do that from here?
Normally, I think I can do that. If I can share my screen, it would be.
Yes, I will give you now the presentation, right? Thank you.
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much. You see it? Is it okay for you? Great.
Yes. So, it will be better if you can amplify it to full screen.
I try to do that, yeah, like this. It takes time.
Yes. Perhaps you can go to, I don't know if in the menu, in the menu you can choose full screen, something like that.
Yeah, I did that, but well.
Okay, that's right. Don't worry.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody, and it's really a pleasure to be with you this morning. Thank you, Antonio, for the invitation. And well, I just have a few slides to present Alpha RLH. So we are going to start at the beginning to be easier. So I'm Isabel Tovena-Pecot, and I'm the head of international and European projects at Alpha RLH, which is a French competitiveness cluster. By the way, I have many years of expertise in contamination control as well, on either, I would say, particulate, chemical, and biological contamination. And well, just a few slides to present to you Alpha RLH French cluster and what we try to do with all our members. We are very, I would say, deep tech cluster based on 2 technological pillars. The first one is on photonics and laser, which is one of the 6 key technologies, you know that. And the other one is on electronics, microwave and frequencies, which is a major driver for high-tech products. And by the way, between those 2, you have materials and you have digitalization. So you can see that with all those technologies, you can do many systems. And with this, of course, you can address all the different markets, but we are focusing on, I would say, mainly aerospace and defense, communication, of course, health, and that's the subject of a presentation today. But we are looking and working on energy and smart building as well. They are the main markets we address in our cluster. A few key figures. We represent 278 members, and I would say the major part of them are companies. So it's very specific of our clusters. We have many companies and many, I would say, small companies, SMEs, and startups, where we are very involved on international level as well. We have 2 international representation, one in the USA and the other one in China. And we try to open one in Japan in the coming year or next year at least. We have an operational team of 24 people, 18 full-time equivalents. And I would say one of our major specificity is the high level of expertise we have. We have knowledge experts leading strategic activities and contributing to R&D and I collaborative projects, whatever the level is. I mean, either on the regional, national, and European or international level. Here you can see some of our members. It's of course not exhaustive, but you can see that we have also large companies such as Safran, CA. By the way, I am on loan from CA, which is the French Atomic Agency and an Alternative Energies Agency, EDF, L'Oréal. So you can see all the diversity of the markets you can address, seeing all those logos of a few of our members. Well, in fact, in European projects, we act as a partner or a coordinator, it depends. And the thing is, the main thing I would say is our activity as a facilitator for research and business for our members. That's that's our goal, our main goal. We are the facilitator for our members. So we are supporting them in strengthening and developing their research and development and innovation, participating to collaborative projects. And by the way, we are now looking for partners for this ERA Corona Innovation Action Project. So we would like to work with all the clusters. If some of them, some of you are interested, we would be very happy to work with you on this core, which aims is to develop medical technologies, digital tools and AI to improve surveillance and care at high technology readiness levels. So we would like to work with you on this subject. Of course, it's a very short time because the deadline is on the 11th of June, and it was released yesterday officially. So it's quite short on time, but the item is very important for for all of us. In this COVID period, it's very, I would say a priority for us. And on the other side, we work on this European project, working on dissemination, communication, of course, outreach, because it's very important to work on sustainability of the different European projects, offering services to the SMEs, organizing events and business opportunities. So Alpha RLH, really encourage the adoption of deep tech, photonics, microwaves and microelectronic technologies, and AI and digitalization for the development of new products and services in health and autonomy domains, and in many other sectors, as you have already seen, defense, energy, and so on. Well, our motivation and position is really to support our SMEs. That's really crucial. And of course, in this COVID period, it's even more crucial. So we are really try to enable companies, research center and labs in the photonic, ICT, AI, and Industry 4.0 to pool their research and development, as well as necessary investments as well, to conduct many things, proof of concepts, test of the implementation, or developed industrial tools, and even help them for the, let's say, marketing and commercialization of their products as well. And how, of course, I have already explained it, but the major thing we do is to help them on R&D and I collaborative projects, and of course on the European level with H2020 projects. We promote cross-pollination of cross-cutting technologies by providing industry players with innovations in photonics, micro and nanoelectronics, AI, robotization and automation. So we can see here that we are really in the deep tech cluster. And of course, as communication and dissemination is today very important, just to increase your visibility and to at a very efficient network, we organize and participate to information and matchmaking event as well. So I'd say in conclusion, we are deeply rooted and supported by Nouvelle-Aquitaine, because that's where we live, but with an European and international ambition for our members. So that's really my conclusion for this presentation, and I will be very happy to answer to your questions. Thanks a lot, and well, take care.
Thank you very much, Isabel, and congratulations for everything that you are doing. Okay, so we have two excellent examples about what it is about the digital ecosystem, I suppose, at least in my mind. Okay, and we jump now to the next block. Okay, as I say at the beginning, we are making a very light modification. Okay, and the proposal is to identify disruptions and needs. Okay, and later we can speak about solutions. Okay, and for example, the project that Isabel was, or the goal that Isabel was speaking about is a kind of solution for disruption of needs that we can identify now, opportunity, if you want to say. Okay, but what we are looking now specifically is those disruptions that could be very important, or are very important now, or could be very important in the near future. Okay, so we have 20 minutes to speak about that. Would you propose any specific disruption in the digital ecosystem that you are aware? I have one. Okay, and specifically speaking about SMEs. Okay, SMEs needs to know how to telework in a safety mode, taking care of the cybersecurity. And for me, that's very important in the next months, because this is not only about the tool, it's not only being able to connect with the central servers. Okay, it's about organization of the work, of the teams, of the projects, of the continuity, backup plans, emergency plans, cybersecurity implementation and rules, and so on. So for me, this is clearly very important disruption. And in fact, we are working in the cluster that I manage in IDEA. We have a working group on that area specific for this. Okay. That would be one, and it's a combination between cybersecurity and teleworking. Okay, but cybersecurity could be another one if you want. Okay, because we are aware that there has been an increase in the attacks from the criminals. Okay, so that is one. I don't know if you agree, or would you add another one?
Antonio, I totally agree with you. I only would add to that need the education, because there's a lot of people not knowing how to do it. And I would also add the infrastructure need of reinforcement, because I know that communication companies and those that deal with the internet communications are struggling for being able to not disrupt what we feel, but we know how slow things are instead of of quick as usually, because there is a lot of people, a lot more. Now we know how the needs are in terms of communication simultaneous use.
But do we have a problem with the telecommunication systems?
The slowness of it means that the infrastructure is not strong enough.
Okay. We need to identify that. Okay, if I think we need to identify if this is creating problems in our companies. Okay, but okay, more.
Antonio, I can give one need also very short. That is, it will be very difficult for the companies, especially the SMEs, in this future, the way they contact with customers, with suppliers. And I think it will be very important to have a qualification and capacitation on digital tools, so that the companies can work better with the customers, the customer experience, or with the suppliers. From what I know from most SMEs here in Portugal and in Europe, most of them don't have these tools. So I think it will be very important to try to get to the companies, to the people that work daily, this kind of digital capacitation, so that they can survive in a more complex market that we'll have in the future.
Yeah, that remembers me another one that is very critical. I totally agree, Jaime. There is another critical area that is the to give the SMEs capacities to sell through internet. If you want e-commerce, for those that doesn't have those capacities, because there are some very strong companies from outside Europe that are gaining a lot of market. Celine, do you have questions?
Celine still cannot speak, but she's writing on the chat.
Okay. Sorry. I thought that Celine will be able to. So, can support the centers provide? I have a question on the concrete support those centers provide. Can you give very concrete examples? Which centers are you speaking out? Sorry, because somebody knows about what is Celine asking? Centers? I don't know what centers are we speaking about.
Celine wrote that during the presentation, so I assume she's speaking about the clusters or something that both presentations spoke about.
Okay.
May I add another point that I remember Vasco raised some days ago, which is the place we locate the archives, let's say, the clouds, how dependent Europe is on clouds that are out of Europe.
Vasco, will you comment?
Well, I can comment. Usually we have quite a lot of clouds from the big companies also in Europe. The problem is that we are not able to control them. So if they shut down, if they just close the doors, we are stuck. I remember that in one of these meetings, I think Ulla mentioned to identify critical entities, and I think this could be a critical area, because in fact, if we think that data is fundamental now and in the future, we should have the means to secure that asset. That's what I think.
Yes, but the problem is that we don't have anyone strong here in Europe, as far as I know, in terms of as cloud provider. So
yes, you are right, but I think that also in other areas, Europe tried to identify mechanisms in order to build something stronger. And I think I mentioned, for instance, in terms of aviation, we have it was created the Airbus, and also in terms of alternatives to GPS, we created Galileo. So I think that we should look a little bit about what happened and what happens, for instance, if there is a cut in all these international links, and we will be stuck like today we are stuck with COVID. So I think that we should look at this in a European way and try to find a solution.
I totally agree, but the point is that Ulla wants to speak. Ulla, go on.
Yeah, no, I quickly wanted to come in, and I did not follow the whole discussion, only the last bit. DG Connect, of course, and particularly our commissioner is very keen on all the European data, and particularly there was this week a meeting where he spoke with, where he had a discussion with Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, and he was pointing out that there is a big difference between the personal data and now the industrial data, and that this he sees it as a competitive advantage for Europe, and that he will do the utmost to make sure that this competitive advantage can be used by Europeans. And that's why our DG Connect colleagues putting a lot of things like a European cloud solution and so on in place. So they are working very hard, and as our commissioner comes also being a CEO, former CEO of Atos, the big French digital company, so he knows pretty well this field. So he has identified, I think himself, quite a lot of strategic needs and what needs to be done for autonomy. And our colleagues in DG Connect work very hard in translating this in activities and programs.
Yeah, I was going to say that this is very interesting, but we should focus in the short-term disruptions and needs, okay? Because that field is a very strategic one, and And I think that we should now focus on identifying disruptions that can be addressed, if possible, quickly. Okay. I could be wrong. Okay.
Hi, Antonio. This is Jorge Gonzalez from TPMed. I'm not sure if I understand the previous comment about the Airbus, the sample with Airbus and the other, because there have been successes, but there have been also failures. Like, if you remember, some years ago, there was an European Google try that between Germany and France that it didn't work very well. So I don't think the reality is it really makes sense to try to have the European version, whatever is successful in the world, but rather to try to open up new opportunities, especially now under the crisis. For example, one area of opportunity that I see is that the same value that you were getting in events and conferences and so on, now to do that online, we just try to do what we did physically on the digital work. I think that's not going to work. But at the same time, we still need those connections and be effective and so on. So as perhaps like what Twitter did with the newspapers or with other distractions that have been there, probably it is not exactly the same format that work in the analog work, world, so to say, that it will work in the digital world. And this is an open space. Everybody is the same in the US, in Europe, and etc. So for me, it's not so much trying to replicate that work elsewhere, but trying to do innovative, disruptive things from Europe and be the world leader on those, like Skype was at some point of time, for example.
I think that we only have 1 hour, okay, and I think that this topic should take us a specific session, okay, because I personally don't agree. I think that we need to have infrastructure for our data. Okay, I agree. Sorry, Jorge, I didn't express myself very well. I agree with you, but furthermore, we need to have our own infrastructure for our own data. Okay.
But so then we are talking about different things, Antonio, because I'm not talking about infrastructure. I'm talking about applications, solutions, value.
So we are speaking about different
I don't care. Right. Yeah. So I'm not talking about where the data is. I'm talking about what's the value that we deliver through digital.
So we totally agree.
That's
I thought I understood Vasco as the problem would be if, for example, Amazon, Google, or Microsoft shut down these the centers, the cloud centers here in Europe, or there is one kind of a big disagreement, we will have problems, serious problems.
Yeah, but the solution for doing that is more at the policy level. I'm thinking about what we can do from the cluster level. You know, this is for me is like high level policy requirements and things like that that is related to laws and these kind of things. I was thinking more in terms like bottom-up approaches.
Yes. Let me.
I will suggest not to spend more time on that, okay? Because we can speak for hours, and this is very important to use our time wisely. Okay, let this topic open. We will keep it open for a specific session. Okay, we can speak for hours and hours. Okay, it's very important. But I want to say one thing. This session is not only for clusters. This group is not only about clusters. For sure, we are a very strong part of the group. Okay, but keep in mind that we need to think about the general needs of the industry and the society in Europe. Okay. Thank you. Jumping to other questions about what was Celine asking about digital training. Okay, if I don't remember just if Celine was with us when we were speaking about the education in Finland. We had the samples of what is doing there I don't remember the name of the town, okay? But the key point with the movement from home, from the school to home, is what it was that the trainers, the teachers were very well prepared, very well trained. They know. It's not only a question of tools. It's not only a question of software or infrastructure. It's a question of knowledge from the teams, from the professionals. And what we are lacking in a lot of companies now is the expertise, the knowledge, the skills. And this is a critical point. I'm totally sure about that. But it will not be easy to change everything in some months. Okay, but yeah, it's a critical point. Okay, more, please, more disruptions. On digital. We have spoken about the network, problems in the network. I don't have very clear ideas about that. Probably there are big differences between
Antonio.
countries. Okay. Daniel.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. I remember a few weeks ago we had a meeting. I can't remember if this was in the Spanish Federation or in the European Alliance Against Coronavirus. Sorry to the audience for that. We had a conversation with a member of the a part of the supply chain of the automotive industry in Aragon, and he was describing how he's adapting his factory to the new working conditions, creating paths for people not to cross one another, cleaning the factory 3 times a day, and a lot of adaptation to COVID. In this conversation, he mentioned something about all investments in Industry 4.0 being completely frozen. It was something trying to explain in a very human way a state of mind that said, look, we need to bring back the supply chain. There are some strategic decisions to make about the purchase of original components and decide how much to stock and how to supply to the big automotive companies. So this resulted in lowering innovation investment very much because it was like a first need, essential basic need attention. Yesterday, in a conversation with one of the members of my cluster, they were on the opposite side. They were mentioning we need to double down on the investment on Industry 4.0 because this is what is going to avoid or lessen the impact of a hypothetical new emergency or a new crisis, and sharing information among all of the members. If we are much farther down that road, it will be a lot less impact in the supply chain because the information will be clearer and everybody can make better predictions and take better strategic decisions. This is a disruption in the supply chain. This is something that could prevent another disruption. And I would like to bring this because it was like 2 completely opposite points of view of the same problem. One of them, which is to freeze all innovation activities, and the other one is to double down on the innovation activities, and maybe it would be worth discussing.
That was Juan Abad, and I was speaking yesterday evening with him and with my steering committee of my cluster steering committee. We were speaking about that, and the situation is the same or worse because there are not money in there is no liquidity. So now the priority as far as they told me is surveillance. To pay the minimum costs, fixed costs, and the investment are reduced to nothing on innovation. That's what
And
they are
this,
telling me.
sorry, and this is with a very large entity. Now imagine SMEs. So the point is is that one. How can we innovate without money? But we have to. So we have to identify solutions, and that's why the Commission is willing our help to identify the most critical points, to put the money where the points are really critical.
Yeah, but we need to take in account that the investment on innovation will be reduced dramatically this year. Yeah, you're totally right. But
yeah.
Well, sorry, why will be reduced this year? Because with things like the CRE Plus, you may actually have more resources for doing innovation.
For those companies that can go for public funding related to the COVID crisis fight, it's true, but the majority of the companies analyzing the global situation, the majority of the companies don't have will not participate in those kind of calls, and they will not invest on innovation furthermore more than those investments that are critical for them. One of the investments that could be critical for SMEs will be teleworking, for example, and digital, and the digital area will probably have a lot of work. Okay, but yeah, speaking.
But I don't understand. I mean, the CRE Plus has two objectives. One is the objective one is more the health related, but the objective 3 is more to support the SMEs, and so the SMEs can be supported to face the crisis with the new funds. I mean, better than say than new funds with what the remaining of the other funds that can be reallocated for doing this, and to move on. And I mean, obviously, if you do the same things in a changing environment, you will not likely be successful. So you need to do new things, to innovate in order to stay alive. And part of this funding that is coming from the European Commission, that sometimes can be very substantial, can go into that direction. So I mean, if you just use the money to do as before in a different environment, sooner or later you run out of gasoline. So either you change and adapt, or these subsidies will be to nowhere, just for paying salaries that at the end don't deliver any value. Is that right? Or
Comments from the rest?
do you understand what I mean?
Also, some of the companies have no structure to rapidly create the proposals. I'm thinking about previous calls that in Portugal were launched recently during COVID. Most of them have been completely used in 2 days. So only the companies that have teams preparing calls, the applications can go to that. Small companies have no structure for that.
Right, and that's a very good point. I don't think that we only have to innovate. The companies need to innovate in the instruments. Like we, the intermediate organizations, and especially the funding bodies, they also need to innovate so that when they launch, there is a support available. It doesn't go to the usual suspects that they have the engines geared to generate paperwork to get the money, but really goes to the companies that have the most chances. That some of them, if not most of them, they don't know how to write a good proposal because they are very focused on the market, not on the public funding. So I think this is also an opportunity to change the instruments to change the procedures so the money really goes to those that deserve it because they have much more potential impact rather than the ones that they know how to write proposals, which is currently the case. So everybody has to change if we want to have an impact, not only the companies, but also the funding bodies and the people supporting the company. We also have to change if we really want to make impact. And that change will be lasting, and it will be much more important in the short term, but also in the medium and the long term.
I agree
Ula,
with you.
I don't know if you are
100.
there, but I think that for me is a strong message for the European Commission. Don't ask only they to change. You think how can the procedures can be better fit to be shorter and better fit to choose the best ones, not the ones with more knowledge in writing proposals.
Marek is with us.
Okay.
Marek, will you comment? I'm sure that Marek agree 100% also.
Can I speak, Antonio? What
Elena.
if these proposals would be like a formulary in a platform where people just can simply fill the information, not some complex proposal, but something very straight where we know exactly what I want to know about that company, what they have to present to get access to the fundings, and we just make a form, like an online form where people can present the characteristics of their company, and we can really understand if they are the best fit, and make it simple, because we have a lot of companies that it's not their reality to get access to funding, and they really would make a difference. Like, make it simple, not some complex.
Good morning. May I? So yeah, you can listen to me. So, sorry, I was speaking and I realized you cannot hear. Thank you very much for this debate. It can be broad as much as we can with policy making and everything. Lots of people are working on this. I would like to come back to focus and the cluster unique knowledge of actors. And so coming back to issues. Can you hear me?
Yes, we are hearing
Yeah,
you.
okay.
Marek, go.
Coming back to issues, and one of the issues I identified, what you are talking about, is this cloud dependence of Europe. Yeah, this is one. The other one, apparently, which is going, is the very much reliance on components in ICT sector, which are not which are strategic but not produced or here in Europe. Neither. How does it impact our strategic autonomy? This is another one is the uptake of all these new technologies like artificial intelligence, robotics, quantum, blockchain. Why we are so slow in taking up? So what is the bottlenecks to uptake blockchains, for example? High performance computing and data science, the data analytics that we are so lagging behind in as well in terms of businesses. So this concrete punctual things which could be sorted out together with clusters would be much more of interest than broad discussion about ICT, because this we have all other arenas for this. So my question is: are we able to identify in the network of clusters the real disruptions in supply chains, like for example components for ICT in our ICT services, or because the general e-government, broadband infrastructure, these things are handled in different forums, in other forums. Think here about why we are lagging so much in business to business uptake of ICT. Why in some countries e-commerce is not is not standard. Like even the difference between Netherlands and Belgium is huge. Like in Netherlands, every small business have e-commerce. In Europe, not the same. Italy is lagging behind with almost everything in ICT, in businesses, and we have this all data. But I'm coming back. Really, work clusters as being close to the ground can identify as the main bottlenecks. Like for example, why we are not uptaking blockchain? What is the issue with data science, and what is the issue with cloud? Okay, so just to shift the direction into the with the focus. Huh? Thanks.
Thank you, Marek. Okay, we have only 2 minutes left. Okay. I will add to this list of disruption, Marek, the problem with the teleworking. I think that's very important at this moment. For the crisis, it's very important. Okay, and we need to think. We need to keep thinking about a possible rebound. Okay, there is big possibilities for a rebound on next winter, and we need to be ready for that. Okay, and our SMEs need to be ready for the possible rebound on winter, for a new phase of closing businesses. Okay, so for me it's very clear. Okay, that if I will put one on the biggest, it will be to provide SMEs the capacity to work remotely in a safe way and to continue to guarantee or help them guaranteeing the continuity of the business continuity. Okay, from the digital side, it will be for me the biggest need, because we can speak about blockchain and so on, but that is, in my opinion, a longer fight. But in the short term, what the companies need is how to continue working from home, with the teams on working in a totally different way. So you have in the screen the today's post. Okay, I see that Jaime has commented yet. Thank you very much, Jaime, for your contributions. Okay. And we will put the video, also the other presentation, and we will be glad for your contribution on that dialogue. Okay, we are going to send to everyone a kind of invitation by email and with a form for identifying those disruptions and possible solutions. So you are invited to contribute also that way. I think the time is up. Thank you very much, and see you tomorrow, I hope. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Antonio. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.